Life stories. Oof. What made us who we are today? You want to go first?
Life, life stories.
Yeah, or like you know how we like how I said before it was just gonna it'd be like what made us like our experiences and stuff that we've been through and everything and what's like made us into who we are today type deal.
I can say that big part of me making it to this point and make me who the person that I am is pretty much the fact that when I came here and I started living on my own. So since moved to Florida, from South Florida to here, that was probably the biggest part that made me the person, like at least the independent person that I am. Whether good or bad, I don't know. Well, good, but like I'm also not necessarily in the like it made me very like it made me more independent and has allowed me to learn how to like handle my money, like obviously like work, how to get transport myself, like feed myself,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But like, I mean, no, I had to. So when I came here, actually, I came here to see because I was somehow following to be with someone, and
Mm-hmm.
then that didn't work out after a couple months. That allowed me to like I had to like obviously like be on my own and deal with it on my own. But then let's say because couldn't find a job, and then I was able to find one at Whataburger, but that pretty much led on to me having to find a place on my own. And obviously, like at the time, I didn't have that good credit and all that stuff. So I pretty much led into me having to like scramble and sleeping in the car for a couple weeks
Damn.
or like 2 weeks. And my mom didn't know anything till like the last couple of days where I told her that I had to do that. And then obviously like she was pissed off, but that was like the time that I had to like just kind of deal with it. How to like just be like, nah, fuck it. I need to man up and just hold this down. And like, it is what it is. It's what I gotta go through. So I got to pretty much like live in the car for a little bit, bro. I used to go to U fitted shower.
So you had to shower or you fit.
Oh yeah, bro. I had a shower. Like, luckily I had like, and then I was able to wash my clothes at a friend's house, like someone I knew from dancing.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, bro. And then he's the one that kept my computers. So I just check up on it and make sure it was good. And that's why I don't want to live in a bad place or anything like that, because it's just like,
You came from it, like you've already gone through the struggles and shit.
yeah, like to have live like you have also like live in a car and stuff. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, fuck that. But you ain't got no stories like I had.
I don't know. I can't think of anything. I wasn't expecting that right now.
So let's see. What age were you at?
Well, I was 19,
19. All right. Well, so we'll talk about when I was 19. Let's see.
18 or 19 or something like that.
18, 19 me. Ooh. So 18, 19 me. What year was that? Like 2014 for me? We'll go with 18 me. That's before I went into the military. But it was like the time that I was living with my mom, which first off was not happy about. That was at the time that she had a boyfriend and everything, and like was not a good time. It was terrible shit going on. And I remember I had just got out of high school. I was at my grandparents' house, and I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do with my life. Like
Hmm.
which direction I was gonna take it, if I was gonna try and go college or not. So I started reading all these old college books and stuff that my mother had left behind because at this point my parents have already divorced. So I was trying to figure out if I could teach myself some college math and stuff. She left a lot of the college books, and there was like science, math, agriculture, all these different books. And so I was just thinking, man, I could really use this. eventually, after like the summer got over with and stuff, I couldn't get a job. Like I was going everywhere trying to apply for a job and whatnot, and like Subway, dude, Subway didn't even want me. Like
Damn.
it was pretty fucking sad. I was like, God dang, Subway won't even take me. Like I applied to every fucking job I could think of. And it was funny too, cause like my grandparents were like, oh, you're not applying to all the places, blah blah blah. And my parents were like, oh, you're not applying to other places. I was like, no, I'm applying to everywhere. Nobody wants me because I have no experience and shit. And so
Yeah.
they didn't like that answer that I gave them, because they was like, yeah, huh, like people will hire you, blah blah blah. And so I was like, you know what, I can't find a job out here, so I'm gonna go move with my mom and see if I can find a job there where she's at.
Yeah.
And of course, my grandparents didn't like that. My father didn't like that. But they were like, yeah, you know, like whatever you feel like you need to do, by all means, you know, do it. Like we're not gonna stop you. Like you're 18 now, so you can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. So I got out there to Lake City here in Florida and lived with my mother in this trailer park. Actually, yeah, it was a trailer park. This was the second time that I lived with her, because I lived with her prior to this. I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew how some of the stuff was, how home life would be and whatnot. So I go out there and tell her, hey, I'm going to move in with you for a bit, and I'm going to try and find a job because, you know, kind of need a job. She's like, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I did. I was like applying to places, and eventually I applied to this internet cafe called Pete's Retreat. And I walk in like fucking blue jeans and shit, tucked in button up shirt. Cause like the sad part is it just was an internet cafe. Like it was nothing special.
Yeah.
But I'm over here like trying to dress up and shit for this interview.
You were
And
ready to fucking grab that thing, brother.
yeah, I was. And then so I walked through the door, you know, for my interview, and there's like nothing in this building. Like they hadn't set up literally anything. I walked into this lady, saw her, I was like, hey, I'm here for an interview. She's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm the manager. As you can see, there's not much shit in here. But how handy are you like with like construction and shit? I was like, oh, like I did a little bit of construction before. Not like it was like under the table type of work that I did. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And so I told her like some of the stuff that I knew how to do and whatnot. And then she asked me like customer service skills and how my people skills were. And then she's like, all right, well, you got the job. When can you start? And I was like, as soon as you need me. She's like, all right, cool. Go start grabbing shit and let's start hanging stuff up on the walls. I was like, what?
Yeah, man. No time to waste. What you talking about?
Yeah. So I did all that and started helping like set up computers and shit for this internet cafe, because that's pretty much what it was. Like you go there, it pretty much was a legal gambling place, because like you could legally gamble if you had the amount that you were going to win each round presented on the screen. So it technically wasn't gambling because you knew what you were getting each round, right? And that was like
Yeah.
their little loophole, having an internet cafe that you could gamble at. And so they did all this and whatnot. I'm working there for like a month now, and I had to like pay rent to my mom, which I didn't care about. Like I pay rent, no big deal. I do what I have to. And living in this trailer park, my mom had a insurance job and a newspaper route. So she would work from 8 to 6, sleep until 11 o'clock, get up, go to the place that she gets her newspapers from, and start throwing newspapers out throughout the night.
Oh, that's cool. Hustling it.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that she would do all that, and then she like she couldn't function, right? She'd do all that shit, and then when it came to um doing her other job, her insurance job, like it would be very hard for her because
Retired.
yeah, she'd be tired of shit. She fucking just did a whole newspaper route, and now she's gonna go to her insurance job. So there was that going on, and eventually it got to the point where like she was trying to do these newspaper routes, and she'd fall asleep while she was driving.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I started riding with her on these newspaper routes because I worked basically overnight shift, or I worked the night shift. So I was fine with that. I didn't care. So that's what I did for a while. Was that trying to like I basically like learned her newspaper route because I would just ride with her, and eventually it got to the point to where she couldn't drive anymore and have to like fall asleep. And that's where I come in, and I would just
Finished the route.
yeah. So like I said, for like a month I did that shit. And my brother also lived with us, and her boyfriend also lived there. Her boyfriend didn't work, and
Oh, savage.
that's why she worked two jobs. But on top of that, I worked a job, and my brother worked a job. My brother, he would get driven to work by my mom, and then I would have to ride my mom's bicycle to work.
Oh.
And yeah, so that shit fucking sucked. But I mean, I guess it wasn't that far. It was like 3 miles.
That you had to walk or that you had to ride a bike?
Well, both actually. I ended up walking and riding a bicycle. So
Sheesh.
and so I was doing that, and then eventually my mom was like, "I need more money for rent," and we're like, "What?" At least I was like, "What?" Like the trailer itself costed like $500. My brother and her and myself gave her $150 each. So that's $300. All she had to pay was $200. And then like yeah, I get like there's electricity and all that shit, but we paid our rent. Like she wanted us to pay rent to I guess teach us how rent was and shit, which I mean I already knew how it was. But it was like why do you want more money? Like why do you want us to pay you more money and stuff? Like, what's going on? She's like, "Oh, you're not paying enough money." Like that doesn't make sense. Like we pay you money, you work two jobs, how are you not able to get this money? It just doesn't make sense. Well, eventually my brother was just like, "Whatever, yeah, I'll pay the money." And then I was just like, "Fuck no. I'm not going to pay any more money." It was like, first off, I already don't make enough money to give her more money. Like that's dumb. Like I'm not gonna do this. So eventually, it was my mom was like, "Well, you can leave then."
Damn,
And
what a savage.
yeah, and I was like, "All right, I will." And my brother we went to the room, like, because my brother and I shared a room. By the way, we shared a room and a bed. We had to share like dressers and stuff. Like our clothes were mixed together and whatnot because I had nowhere really to sleep at because it was a single wide trailer. So we shared a lot of shit, and so I was like, yeah, I'll leave. So I went into the room. My brother followed me in there. He's like, oh, you don't want to leave, blah blah blah. Just pay her more money. And I was like, no, dude, like it's stupid. There should be no reason why we have to pay more money. And I was just like, the fact that her boyfriend doesn't work, like I think that's bullshit. He should work. He should do something. He should provide something because they And I don't know if they ever knew that I knew, but whenever I bought food, because I worked across the street from a Taco Bell, whenever I bought food and brought it home, it'd be Taco Bell. And that's probably why I still love Taco Bell, because I had that shit was like my saving grace for a while. Um, they would fucking eat my food that I put in the fridge. Like I plan on eating the next day for breakfast or lunch or whatever. Like that shit would just get slurped up, and and I'd get pissed off. But like, what could I really say? It's not my house. Blah blah blah. I guess. Yeah, I was 18. Yeah, I didn't think I could say too much about it. And
No, I get it.
so I'm like, yeah, dude, like they eat all my shit. Like I'm tired of that. Like if they would just ask, I wouldn't even care. But the fact that they don't ask, they just go in there and eat it. And more likely it was my mom's boyfriend. It would more likely it was not her at all, because I don't know, she was going through some type of like weight issue thing. I don't know. So he's just like, all right, well, I can't stop you. And then my mom came into the room after that, if I'm remembering correctly, because I know eventually we were arguing about something, and then my mom like got up in my face, like right in my face, yelling at me, and I told her like, you get out of my face, and she wouldn't. She just was like yelling at me, and I swear, I can't remember exactly what she was saying, but more likely it was along the lines of like I was a terrible child, terrible son, blah blah blah, and so I just like shoved her ass, and so I grabbed my stuff that I had already packed up, and I was like, I'm out. I'm walking out of the trailer, and I have like just two bags. I had like two backpacks, and there's the two backpacks that I brought from my grandma's house when I moved there. And my brother chased me out of the trailer. It was like, you can't do that. That's our mom. And I was like, I don't fucking care, dude. I'm done with it. I'm so over it. And he just like he goes to shove me and stuff, and so we end up fighting like out in the fucking front yard at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're out here fighting, like fist fighting, throwing each other around and shit. Like eventually, he came charging at me, and I just like I did one of those momentum shoves where like you dodge out of the way and just shove somebody and they fall on their face onto the ground.
Yeah.
I did that shit, and I picked up my bags, and I was like, I'm done with this. This is fucking stupid. I really don't want to fight you because you're fighting for something dumb, and I'm just gonna go. And so I walked down the street, pretty much to my work. So like yeah, like 3 miles. Walked down the street to the interstate, and that's where I met the I met the cockroach lady.
Oh no, the cockroach
The
lady.
cockroach lady, man. Um, yeah, that shit was still fucking nasty, which I'll have to talk about that another day, because that. Ugh. So, after the cockroach lady, the reason my mom wanted extra money was because at the time my mom did drugs. My mom was like hardcore on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And her boyfriend was smoking so much damn weed, bro. Like, he could just like breathe out, and you just feel like you're getting a contact high.
Damn.
Yeah, like I don't know, and like I said, he did nothing, man. Did fucking nothing. And I'm not gonna lie though, he did try to get a job. I think it was after I had left and everything. He tried to get a job as a dishwasher at like an Olive Garden, and apparently he got fired in like a couple weeks.
Of course.
But so my mom was hardcore on drugs. She was doing a lot of pills and shit. She was buying pills from random people, I guess. And so I eventually end up living in my friend's house for like a week or two. And eventually his dad was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you can't keep living here. I was like, no, I totally understand. Like I feel like I'm mooching, if anything, and like I don't want to be like that. So I found out that my coworker,
Was
he
giving Food, what drugs to your mom?
No, 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 what? No. I found out
Oh,
my coworker had a place for me to stay because at the time, I had to leave my friend's house because his dad was like, "Hey, you can't live here anymore." So I went and lived with my coworker for a while, and bro, I shit you not, I feel like that was the one of the coldest damn winters in Florida because I so what I was sleeping on was the floor, like floorboards. Basically, like imagine a porch, with like a roof, and so you know how like the wood boards on the floor are. You know what I'm talking about?
the floorboard?
Like porches or like a gazebo, and they're made out of wood, and like the way the boards are laid on the like where the deck would be like. You know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
So imagine that, right? As what you're sleeping on. You have no insulation. Uh, there's just windows, right? And you have a bed sheet to use to cover yourself. Like that was all I slept on, and that shit. Oh my god, that shit fucking sucked. But like I said, it felt like the coldest winter in Florida because uh, it almost felt like it was snowing outside. It was so damn cold. I fucking hated it. We had these little heaters, like little like foot heaters that they have at work. We had
Yeah.
those, and we would like put them at our feet, and like I'd fall asleep with 3 pairs of socks on, a fucking 2 sweatpants on. Like I had a hoodie on, a beanie on. Like that's what I was sleeping in. It was that fucking cold. There was one day I was oh yeah, I was taking a shower, and I got done and everything was drying off, and I was about to walk out of the bathroom, and my coworker's front door, someone's
Oh, it's
knocking at
open.
it. No, no, like someone's knocking at it, and my coworker lived with his parents, right? And my coworker also was like in his 30s, so his parents were like in their like 40, 50. Or no,
Oh.
they were like in their 50s, late 50s, and
Hmm.
so they were kind of old at the time, and someone my coworker goes and opens up the door, and my fucking mom's standing there, and I'm like, what the fuck? I look at her and I was like, the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? What do I mean? What the fuck are you doing here? Like, are you following me? Are you stalking me? Like, how the fuck did you find me? And then my coworker's mom walks around the corner with fucking pills in her hand, and she's like, oh, she buys pills for me. And
Oh.
I'm like, what the fuck kind of Twilight Zone shit is this? And yeah, so I was like, yeah, well, at that point, it took me 3 days, and I quit my job. I called up my friend and was like, hey man, can you come pick me up and take me home? I was like, dude, I will pay for your gas here and back, and I was like, and I just bought a 24-inch pizza. I will share this shit with you. Like, I just need to get out of this place. And
Damn.
so, yeah, he came around, called me up, picked me up and stuff, took me all the way back to my grandparents' house. All this shit that happened from whenever I moved to my mom's to when I came back was from October to November.
Damn, just a couple months and you did all that?
Yeah, I did all that shit within like just a couple months, bro.
That is an uncomfortable time,
Yeah.
to say the
So
least.
I when I got to my grandparents' house and stuff, and I explained to them everything that happened to me and what was going on, like the state of my mom and everything. And then I got a job at the apartment complex. That's where I lived at for a couple months, 8 months actually. I lived there for 8 months, and then I went to the military. And by that time I was 19, so there was 18 to 19 for you.
Damn, this guy had a tough situation for a couple months, just had to like I don't even know what you call that. That was just hell, bro. You pretty much went through army training before you even going to Navy training before you even going to the Navy.
Yeah. Uh, fucking. But yeah, man, we'll have to record more stuff because I got some more life stories for you.
Of course.
Like I said, that was 18 to
Oh, I can
19,
tell.
bro.
I can tell you. I can. It's pretty much how me and my mom lived for since I got here all the way until I left my mom. Like of how I guess poor, but also no place to live because we would be renting a room all the time. So we never actually lived in a place by ourselves until I was almost into high school. So for the whole time that I was here in the United States since maybe like 20, I don't know what year, maybe 2004. But I know I was like 5 or 6 years old. I During all that time since I got here, it was only me and my mom because we got kicked out of my aunt's house. My aunt's house and the side of my dad, and my dad came with us. We all three landed in Orlando. We stayed there for a couple months under my aunt's house, my dad's side, and she eventually didn't like us to the point where like she kicked us out. Me and my mom, my dad stayed, so it was just me and my mom that we were living in the streets. But luckily, she had made some friends that allowed us to stay there for about a month or so while she gathered money to pay for a cheap uh really really ghetto form of transportation to South Florida. Like this is a van, like smuggling van, like a white van.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh, but
No, I get why you're laughing because
you
I would have laughed too.
you
Like
said
it's
smuggling van, white van.
like imagine the van they make porn on, except there's actually just not one couch, but there's multiple rows of seats
Casting couch, van style.
with multiple seats instead of just one seat in the back and all that space. That's literally the how I came to South Florida, and then we started living in a one room of a family member, and then it continued on. It will continue on like that for until I was seventh or eighth grade. I don't know what would be my age there at that point, but it was we lived we continuously hopped from every year, maybe every 2 years we'll hop from one person that we're renting the room from a house to another one. So I always like had to sleep with my mom, whether I liked it or not, when she was obviously home. But since she worked that night, I had to sleep by myself most of the time. So it was just be myself in a house with sometimes where there was one house that I lived in, or that the people were truckers. So they will be gone for months at a time. So, and we lived in one room or the house that was separated from, there had his own entrance, it had his own walkway from the side of the house. So you wouldn't be going into the house at all, completely blocked off. So, and my mom worked that night and it was not in a good, like in a decent place. So it was a little sketchy and I had to learn how to like pretty much tighten up at night because I couldn't, like, I had to go to sleep. And I was obviously scared because I was like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Any noise will wake me up.
Yeah,
It was, I mean, that's how most of the time was. But for a while, like I didn't have my own room. I didn't have my space. We shared everything: bathroom, drawers, bed, like no kitchen, nothing. Like we just had one sink to brush our teeth and the same sink that you wash the dishes in, and like you couldn't really cook stuff. It was a lot of microwavable stuff.
that's what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
No, but damn, man.
Until finally my mom found a friend where they can, and they were the income enough to like rent a house where the house market was good enough to where like we can actually rent a house. And we started to rent a house after that, but then I got my own room. But beforehand, that was just straight. It was hard. That made a lot of like a lot of things problem for me now. And there's a that made a lot of personal issues and a lot of like attachment issues and stuff like that that I have now because of that.
No, yeah, I definitely can understand with the whole not like attachment issues, but like issues with because you're talking like issues with your mom, right?
No, the well issues with my mom, but also issues that that situation left on me that I've had to that have realized that like they have affected me in like relationships and just how I am and stuff.
Yeah. So like with in correlation with that, with me and my mom issues, we have mommy issues.
Oh my god.
um, mine's more like abandonment issues because when my mom originally left, um, I was 15 and my parents got separated, and like my mom left my dad and myself and took my brother.
What a
And
savage.
yeah, like took my brother as in like she asked my brother if he wanted to go with her, and he's like yeah, but didn't say nothing to me that she was gonna be leaving or anything. Didn't say nothing to my dad, and then one day, her and my aunt pulls up with a truck and trailer, and they start packing shit up, and I'm like, I didn't know what to say or do, so I just stood on the front porch or back porch and watched them pack up the trailer and with all my mom's shit. And my mom's like, I'm leaving, and I was like, okay, uh, when are you coming back? She's like, I'm not.
Never.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, what about my brother? Like, she's like, he's going with me, and I was like, oh, um, okay. It's like, well, I guess I'll stay here with dad, because if you're leaving and taking my brother, and then basically would have nobody here except me, and so I'm just gonna stay here with him and you know help him with whatever I have to. And I think she cried a little. I don't. It's really hard to remember exactly, but yeah. So then, like an hour or so later, after everything was packed up, she left. And my dad, dude, jeez, my dad, he, I think that's the most vulnerable I'd ever seen him because he, this is the second divorce he had been in,
Yeah.
so he was taking it really hard and stuff, and so I was doing my best to be there with him and whatnot. So the whole abandonment issues definitely have that because on top of that, like I just explained earlier, fucking her telling me that I could just leave, and I was like, all right, fine, like that made the issues even more. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Prevalent.
no, I agree, or I not agree. I can understand having mommy issues.
Oh, mama issues. But yeah, but situation caused those things, and now like things are changing, things are being worked on and shit. But I would say it is difficult to like self reflect, or just people telling you like this is what's causing you. Like, damn. Well, kind of like, well, now I just gotta fix this. Well, what can you do, brother?